did, you probably did, is that they said that going to a Trump rally now is the equivalent of going to church. And I read that title and I was like, oh, I got to read this. And now he goes into these, he goes into his rallies, and there's like a moment of hushed silence where he starts using biblical vocabulary and vernacular. And people in the audience bow their head like he's some sort of high priestess. And he talks about, in biblical terms, the battle for the soul of America, and that he's the one that's been chosen by God to fix it. And his people put their hand up like if they're at some sort of, revival meeting. And it's scary to see. We joked on the network about the 59.99 Bible. But it's just this complete collapse of church and state. It goes beyond trying to use religion as a wedge issue, as a wedge cultural issue to drive a wedge between Americans to try to get elected. It's now, there were people in the audience, as reported in the New York Times, that told the reporter that they thought, hope people are sitting down for this one, that Donald Trump is more crucified than Jesus Christ. And this is where this kind of cult following for Donald Trump is right now. And to be clear, I have no issues with, prior to Trump, Republicans as a party or as people or as fellow Americans. I may disagree with their policy decisions. I may not have agreed with all the planks of the presidential platform, but ultimately I could recognize them as another party, one of two in our country that were trying to govern and try to set policy. I don't recognize what's happening now by the Maga takeover of this Republican Party. I mean, I feel like I'm living in the 1800s, and when there were like these multiple parties and there were takeovers of parties, and what was once the Whigs is now it's just a complete co-opting of what was once a legitimate party in this country under our constitutional system, and has now just been co-opted by evangelical Christians and others who see Donald Trump as their Lord and Savior. What I